You know, it's a great day when we see Radiant Typhoon and For Hire just toppling down meta. So make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome. I have been loving watching these random events come and go. And the 100th OG was one of those interesting events because not only was this top cut very diverse, I mean, like, there was a lot of interesting choices that players actually brought to the table here to try to challenge the meta. Now, Radiant Typhoon, especially the runic build, is no real stranger to being one of these decks that has had a great time actually challenging the meta. I honestly think it's been one of the better little contenders that we have actually kind of watched grind through some of the meta. We also had a For Hire variant of Radiant Typhoon, which I can't believe these sorts of combinations, man. You mean to tell me that that was actually a real deck? Well, yes, it was. We did have a Lunalight Challenger. So, I mean, like, there was meta that was kind of present here. It's just Radiant Typhoon and, you know, For Hire just happened to bully them a little bit out of the meta. We did also have Shadal as well, which Dolls have been kind of one of the rogue challengers. It's been doing a lot of very interesting things kind of off of the wall, which has been kind of cool to see. Now, like I said, we did have meta. We had Mitsurugi and we did have Yummy. Both challengers have been pretty normal to see actually kind of sticking around. We also had Magnet Warriors. Ever since Magnet Warriors lost the Fiendsmith package, the deck has had to kind of evolve into different directions, and I think that's been kind of a good thing to actually see that deck taking on to those different directions. We also have Dark Lords as well. I think that was one of the biggest surprises that caught my attention here, was just the fact that suddenly, you know, Dark Lords are looking like a challenger within the meta. So this was definitely one of the more interesting breakdowns we've seen so far. Let's pass on over to deck list. So starting things off here, we actually have our Radiant Typhoon runic list. Now, I mean, you're playing this deck more as a runic deck, more so than the other side of the coin, which would be, you know, the Radiant Typhoon stuff. But these cards are going to be here to actually help us out and kind of get through a lot of the grind game scenarios that you would kind of be expecting this deck to want to do. Also, you do see we do have double Soul Drain in the main deck. I do not blame them for wanting to play Soul Drain, man. You have to have cards to slow down Malice. I have fully learned that Malice is one of those decks that if it actually gets the opportunity to kind of spin you out of control, you're going to have problems. So to see that, you know, we are adapting things like Soul Drain in here to try to be a detour card, I think is very, very expected. So this is definitely one of the more interesting challengers of the meta. Next up here, we have For Hire with Radiant Typhoon. Now, I mean, this is all because, I mean, like, a lot of your packages overlay and kind of work together, but also when you start to do some of that link climbing, Fogo wants to see different attributes, and he wants to see different combinations of cards being able to work and to feed into him. So I can understand, you know, when we start to look at that logic, okay, well, Radiant Typhoon just gives us all of these particularly different levels and or different types that we can work with, because, you know, the Wing Beast and all of that little stuff. So you do kind of get this package. It is going to go together. Also keep in mind, I mean, one of the things you are getting with this is access into the Featherstorm, which unfortunately does steal games from your opponent. I mean, we can sit here and we can try to be like, well, no, it doesn't. No, it unfortunately is powerful enough to ruin a lot of the existing meta. So, interesting. Next up here, we had some Lunalight action. Now, Lunalights, you're not going to get a lot of creativity with these lists. A lot of the Lunalight duelists have all kind of came down to the same conclusion, and it feels like they've made the deck as consistent as they actually need it to be. And I'm okay with this, man. I'm okay with this deck being a consistent little monster for what it needs to do. You also do see we are playing the Outer Entity as our rank 4 option. You will see a lot of different takes and opinions on this, and they're not necessarily wrong. It just depends on what players themselves feel is going to be, hey, you know, do I need to go down this option? Do I need to access this? You know, what is going to be the appropriate window for me to work with this. But outside of that, I mean, Luna Lights, I mean, you're down to 2 Impulse. I think the deck is still extremely good. They got triple heavy poly in the deck. They were prepared. Next up, we have Dolls. First of all, we do have Draco Tail cards in here, which is kind of going to be one of the things I think you're going to be seeing this deck kind of gravitate towards. Because, I mean, you're going to be Fusion Summon locked. And you've also got to be very careful because you can get Shaddoll locked as well. But does being Shaddoll locked matter if I can just use the Draco Tail cards to access the Shaddoll cards? As long as I have access to, you know, those pieces. I mean, that's where I'm at right now. I mean, does it truly really matter? I think that this deck is a very, very annoying deck to deal with. Honestly, I'm more impressed that this deck has been sticking around for as long as it is, because Shaddoll's being able to window lock your opponent. I mean, as you see, we play 3 of them in the deck. So, I mean, you're going to be taking advantage of soft locking your opponent, and they are not going to have a good time with it. Next up here, we have Tri-Brigade Yummy. Now, this has been kind of the place that this deck has been gravitating towards, because the deck just has certain problems, and I don't necessarily think that that's a terrible thing. It's just, you know, you have to kind of incorporate the Tri-Brigade stuff now to kind of make the deck feel a little bit more complete. But that was kind of the point of Konami's last list was, you know, we're going to try to check this deck into a way that can actually make it feel a little bit better for things. But, I mean, your Yummy package is still going to be able to extend and go down all of the different lines that you're going to see. You are only playing 1 Fallen and Virtuous in here, which I think is okay. I don't really hate the idea of having access to that. But outside of that, it's definitely looking like a very, very solid strategy, to say the least. Oh, boy, Mitsurugi. You know, the more I look at this, I am more intrigued that this deck just continues to kind of do its little foothold of dominance. I think actually having King of the Feral Imps is such a crazy thing here. But I will say, okay, I mean, I'm all about this, man. When you have King of the Feral Imps for your consistency, you have the Hazy Flame Banshee to bridge you into, you know, Rizel stuff. When you, just having access to all of this different stuff is so stupid, and it just makes it consistent. Now, I mean, you do notice we're not playing the Demise stuff in this deck. I think having access to the Demise stuff does kind of slow down the way that this deck wants to try to play, and that can be a little bit inconveniencing, to say the least. So, you know, you've got enough of the speed that you want this deck to be famous for. And then we have some Magnet Warriors. Woohoo! Anytime the Earth Barrier statue is going to come into play, it definitely is going to be a exciting thing. I do see you have Naturia Beast, Baron de Fleur. Holy crap, man. You have all of the good Earth toolbox stuff that you want to be throwing at your opponent to be able to kind of control and to play the game, which actually is not terrible to think about, honestly. I think those little pieces are going to help out when you get a lot of the initial setup. Outside of that, I mean, Block Dragon makes this deck for what it is, and hopefully, you know, the TCG will bring back Block Dragon. I would love to see the idea and concept that, you know, that card could actually kind of help us out with some of the developments and some of the metagame push that this deck kind of needs to have. I mean, if not, Magnet Warriors are just going to be dead on impact, and it's not exactly something that we really, really want. Next up is our Dark Lord pile. This actually looks very, very fun. I actually do see the 1 Falling into Darkness in the deck, which I do think is good. We do get to see, you know, all of the standard Dark Lord stuff along with Archlord, Christia, being that little helper card that you kind of expected to. Your extra deck playing 2 of each of the pieces is going to be just fine. So I will say this is going to be kind of interesting. I'm kind of excited to see, you know, how Dark Lord's going to evolve. Also, when you have a Forbidden Crown Searcher built into the deck, it's probably going to do pretty good. I mean, I can't imagine that it's not going to. So please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in day, guys. Peace. Patrons, Thank you. Ah!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.